Like I told you from the beginning, I am the future Flash.
Grant Gustin, the longtime Arrowverse Flash, recently shared whether he'd be down to return as Barry Allen in a reboot. Now, let's be real. The Flash movie from 2023 was a mess. They threw in Superman's villain, Supergirl, multiple Batmans, Wonder Woman, and a whole bunch of other characters, but it still flopped hard. Now that DC is hitting the reset button, it actually feels like the perfect chance to bring Grant back as the Flash. He's already nailed the role for years and always brought something fresh to it. Why not give him another shot? At MegaCon, Grant Gustin told CBR that the reason the Flash stayed fresh for so long was because he genuinely took the role seriously. He admitted it wasn't some big plan to keep things new, he just focused on each scene as it came. "I'm a very scene-by-scene actor," he said. "I wanted to keep it realistic. The only reason I did a decent job with the show is I took it very seriously. Try not to suck." His dedication definitely showed, not just on screen, but also in the way he connected with fans over the years. Even though the series wrapped up 2 years ago, his impact as the Crimson Comet still sticks with people. Late last year, on the 10th anniversary of the Flash premiere, Grant Gustin looked back on how much the role meant to him. He reposted some artwork from Boss Logic on Instagram, an image of the Flash, and shared his thoughts. 10 years since the first Flash episode aired. Wild, he wrote, changed my life and forever connected me to a character that now means so much to me. Thank you to all the Flash fans who showed me so much love and support over the last decade. It's clear the character and the fans have a special place in his heart. The Flash kicked off back in 2014 and wrapped up its 184-episode run on May 24, 2023. Grant Gustin originally stepped into the role through a few guest spots on Arrow, with his final appearance there basically setting up his own show. The CW's Arrowverse wouldn't have been the same without The Flash, especially those early seasons, which are still considered top-tier superhero TV. In a 2024 interview, Gustin opened up about how unexpected it all was. "It never crossed my mind," he said. "I was 23 when I auditioned and thought I had no shot. I didn't even want to go." He admitted he felt totally out of place because Barry Allen in the comics is big and buff and blonde, and he didn't think he fit that at all. But let's be real, Grant Gustin fits that role like a glove. He's super down to earth too, which honestly makes him so likable, way more than the guy who directed that mess of a Flash movie. The funny thing is, Grant's 10-year run as the Flash in the Arrowverse totally proves that the director's excuse for the movie tanking doesn't really hold up. Let's be honest, the DCEU had a rough stretch in its final year. In 2023, even after James Gunn and Peter Safran rolled out plans for the new DCU, we still got Shazam! Fury of the Gods, The Flash, Blue Beetle, and Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. None of them really made a splash or ranked among the DCEU's top films. Out of all the DCEU movies that dropped in 2023, The Flash really stood out, but not in a good way. Before it hit theaters, big names like Tom Cruise, James Gunn, and Stephen King were hyping it up. Expectations were sky high. But once it actually came out, fans and critics ripped it apart. People called out the bad CGI, weird multiverse cameos, and the confusing plot. All of that led to a brutal box office run. With a massive budget of around $200 million and only $271.4 million made globally, the movie ended up being a major loss for the studio, especially once marketing costs were factored in. In the middle of all this, The Flash director Andy Muschietti shared his take on why the movie tanked at the box office. According to him, after having some private conversations, he realized that a lot of people just don't care about The Flash as a character. Since this was the first time Barry Allen, or any version of The Flash, got a solo movie, there wasn't any past success to gauge how it might do in theaters. Muschietti also pointed to another issue. The movie didn't click with female audiences. Hollywood breaks things down into 4 main audience groups: males over 25, males under 25, females over 25, and females under 25. He said the film didn't connect with either female group, and for a big-budget movie like this, that's a major problem. Warner wants to bring even your grandmother to the theaters, he joked, but clearly that didn't happen. Muschietti's reason for the Flash flopping doesn't really hold up. Saying the character just isn't popular enough with audiences isn't accurate at all. Sure, Ezra Miller's movie was the first solo Flash film, so there wasn't a direct comparison, but there was Grant Gustin's version, and that had a massive following. Gustin started as Barry Allen on Arrow before getting his own show, which ran for 9 seasons and wrapped up just months before the 2023 film hit theaters. Not only was The Flash the longest-running series in the Arrowverse, but it even outlasted Arrow itself. While the DCEU kept running into trouble with messy releases and behind-the-scenes drama, the Arrowverse, thanks to actors like Gustin and Stephen Amell, was consistently delivering. Even though Amell launched the whole TV universe, it was Gustin's Flash that really became the face of the franchise. So yeah, Barry Allen clearly can work when the character's handled right. Warner was fully aware of how big the Arrowverse had become. They even had Ezra Miller's version of Barry Allen appear in the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover just to build hype for the upcoming Flash movie. That moment where Miller and Gustin's Flashes met was a huge deal for DC fans. And let's not forget, the Flash series premiere in 2014 was a record-breaker. It pulled in 6.8 million viewers, making it the most-watched show in CW history at the time. For years, it stayed at the top as the network's most popular show. Even after it ended, the numbers spoke for themselves. In 2023 alone, The Flash racked up 311 million hours watched on Netflix, making it the most viewed Arrowverse series on the platform. Grant Gustin's version of The Flash was hands down the biggest hit in the Arrowverse, and the numbers back that up. So that kind of throws a wrench in Andy Muschietti's claim that the DCEU Flash flopped because people just don't care about the character. On top of that, the multiverse cameos in the movie made it clear that Muschietti didn't quite get what DC fans actually wanted. Even though Gustin wrapped up his run as Barry Allen earlier in 2023, fans were super vocal online about wanting him to pop up in the DCEU film. But he didn't show up at all, which left a lot of people disappointed. And the love for Gustin hasn't faded since the show ended. There's been a growing push from fans to see him return as the Flash, even if it's a different take on James Gunn's new DC universe. Apparently, Gunn and Gustin have chatted a few times over the years, and in March 2024, Gunn even said, "Of course I'd love to work with him at some point." In a recent chat on Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum, Grant Gustin was asked if he'd be down to return for a 10-episode miniseries of The Flash. He said he'd definitely be interested in coming back to the DC world, just with a few conditions. Here's what he had to say. "Yeah, of course, there are a lot of things that I'd have to, ask. Not for, but about. I'd be more interested in the creative side." Even though there aren't any official plans for a sequel series to The Flash, Rosenbaum also asked if being a producer on a potential follow-up would matter to Gustin. Grant's response was a casual, "Maybe, yeah," since he didn't really have any creative input on the original show while it was airing. Well, that's it for today. Let me know what you think of Grant's potential return in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, because we'll be covering more updates on this soon and other exciting upcoming movies and series. We'll see you next time.